Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and body language expert, and today we're doing our final analysis of Letecia Stauch. She was found guilty on all charges for the murder of Gannon Stauch. She's going to be spending the rest of her life in prison. There's finally justice for Gannon. Before we get started, I just wanted to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to watch more videos just like this. Alright, let's go. First, we're going to be watching Leticia's reactions to the victim impact statements. If you haven't watched these in their entirety, I highly recommend you do because they're very powerful.
Parents' nightmare. And I have watched and held Landon as she falls apart time after time. But we are here today and justice has.
So one thing that's obvious is that she's very flat. She's been looking down a lot. You're going to see her do that a whole lot throughout all of this.
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Now, if you'll notice her eyes, she just looked up. Check this out.
Justice has finally been served for Gannon. And we want to thank you as a community for that opportunity for this to happen today.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
One thing that I believe that she's doing is she's trying to set herself up for an appeal. So I think that there's times where she's trying to act like she's seeing things, or that she's just looking around the room and trying to act strange. Maybe she just happens to be looking around. I think that this is actually intentional and that this is manipulative.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Jeff Davenport, Jeffdav.
Now, this is interesting. So she's doing this with her lips. Oftentimes, as I've talked about, the lips are something that bring us comfort. I think that she's getting frustrated and anxious during this. I think that this is upsetting to her, despite the fact that she's very flat. I don't think it's upsetting because she feels guilt. I think she's upset because she has no power at this point. The people that are coming up can say whatever they want, and I think this is driving her mad. Let's go back and just watch her mouth over this part.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Jeff Davenport, Jeffdave. I'm Albert's uncle, and my sister Debbie, who hopefully will be speaking in a few minutes, is his grandmother. Because I am a couple of steps away from him related.
So her little head bob, she could have just been trying to move her hair around. It's also possible, like I said, that she's trying to act a little bit strange.
I'm Albert's uncle, and my sister Debbie, who hopefully will be speaking in a few minutes, is his grandmother. Because I am a couple of steps away from him in relation he encountered throughout his life. She murdered his children and his grandchildren, and all of the joy and love.
Something that's very obvious. She's not even attempting to try to show remorse. Clearly, she doesn't feel it, and she doesn't feel the need to try to fake that, despite the fact she's faked so many other things at this point.
Love and encouragement and security they would have brought to all those they encountered, who have loved and cared for their children for years. And because of her species.
Now, if you notice how still she's staying, how little she's moving her face, this is similar to Chad Daybell. When we've seen him in court, he tries to not move at all. It's a power play. It's an attempt to give everybody nothing. My guess would be is that she's feeling quite angry right now. I really think that people having this much power over her, and you see, I say this a lot with criminals because we see this a lot with criminals. They hate being out of power.
And I want us to remember again, and it's who he was, not what this evil deed did to his memory. He is our hero and will always be our hero.
See that quick look she just gave? Once again, I think that this is her trying to be subtle and try to continue to act like she has some sort of mental illness.
Mr. Allen?
So she's making sort of weird facial expressions. There's no specific involuntary nonverbal thing to be read from that. Once again, I think that she's trying to plant the seed, that she's got things that she can't control. I think this is a manipulation. Let's just watch this again.
Mr. Allen?
And you got to think about the depth of manipulation that she has shown at this point. You should always be watching out for her. You should always be suspicious of everything that she's doing. I remember when it was happening, there were people that were commenting that she had put things in her ears. She can still hear what people are saying, even if it's muffled. I'm not even sure that that's true, but even if it is, she can still hear what's going on.
Hello, Your Honor.
So this is the strongest reaction we've had from her so far. It doesn't look like she feels guilt or sadness or any of these things.
My name is Landon Bullard. Also,
She knew how special Gannon was, and she knew what meant to most to me. I, in my heart, can never understand her hatred and insecurities when it came to me. I did love her.
You're seeing her look around a lot more. I think that she's getting quite angry. I don't think there's any guilt or remorse there. I think that she doesn't like the fact that Gannon's mother is speaking in such harsh and strong terms to her. I think that this is making her quite angry.
Mother to mother, I trusted her with my children while trying to survive. She searched. I lost my place.
She's curious. That's what she is. She wants to watch people cry and watch people suffer. I don't confuse that with her looking down with remorse or that she feels bad about this.
I pursue peace. I seek joy in my life and let the love I have for my wife and family flow in and out of me like a mighty wave.
All right, so there's a little bit that bothered her, the love he has for his wife and family. Watch her reaction to this.
I seek joy in my life and let the love I have for my wife and family flow in and out of me like a mighty wave.
So sometimes people need to stretch when they're sitting still, but it doesn't seem like a coincidence that when he talks about his love for his wife and his family, that's when she starts moving. And she moves in a sort of a strange way, maybe because she's trying once again to do the weird head rolling thing that she does when she claims that she's shifting into another altar or whatever. I do think that she is continuing to try to plant those seeds.
Gannon was beaten and drugged, carved up, shot at point blank.
All right, so you just saw her brow change when you say carved up. She goes like this. Oftentimes we associate that with anger, but I think that she's trying to show confusion. I really do. I don't believe there's any confusion, but I think she thinks that if there's a chance they're going to appeal this, or that somehow that she can continue to use the mental health angle or the DID angle in the future, she's trying to look confused when they talk about these things having happened.
The laden and I was telling, as the boy looked pale and absent of the energies that so defined him.
So right now she's furrowing her brow again. She's trying to feign confusion as though I don't know what happened. That's not me. This is just a continued performance from what we've already seen. And this I find profoundly disturbing. When the father is crying, when Gannon's father is crying, she looks up to look at him. Not because she feels bad, not because she feels remorse, but maybe she wants to see the effect she's had on people. And she looks directly at him. It's monstrous behavior, truly.
As well as she already gave me one, that we allow Tisha to manipulate us into some of the pain and disagreements.
Now you see she's starting to blink a lot. None of this looks involuntary. And one of the things that's key about body language is that the most meaningful body language is body language that's involuntary when it comes to signs like that, blinking and moving and those sorts of things. This looks like an intentional blinking. I think she wants people to notice it. Once again, this is a performance. Watch this.
Conversation about this, and I owe her an apology as well as she already gave me one, that we allowed Tisha to manipulate us into some of the pain and disagreements that we had, but that for every mile she drove Gannon across the country, she spent one day in solitary confinement.
Now, if you look very closely, it seems that she has a smirk now. He asked for her to spend a day in solitary for every mile that she drove him.
After that journey is complete, I recommend her sentence be equal to every year she stripped off of Gannon's life. Of Harley's life, that she abusively manipulated that child, she should have an additional year.
Now that is an involuntary response. When he said abusively manipulated that child, she does not like being characterized that way. That made her mad when talking about Harley.
Prison. Adds 21 years to the total. I think without parole, that should suffice. Why couldn't you let her just be a mama's boy? That's all.
See, and then you see the brow furrow. This looks more like anger than concern or confusion like I was talking about earlier. This looks like that made her angry. Now here she is making faces. We're getting ready to put a video of Gannon up, but once again, I think that this is performance. I don't think this is anything involuntary. So for anybody who thought that she was capable of any degree of remorse, immediately once they take a break, she's back to smiling and laughing and trying to enjoy herself.
And forever altered her family dynamics. She will always wonder who she can trust and will always feel that loss.
And you're going to see this is pretty typical of her through a lot of the reading of the sentencing.
She was there the day you killed Gannon. His body was still in the house when she got. Claiming a lack of motive is a common defense tactic, and it can be a sound strategy. The truth is, however, that it only takes a moment to make a bad decision that results in disastrous consequences.
This is probably a moment of frustration for her because I think that she believed if she was going to get off, it's because she was going to claim she had no motive. So it's interesting to see the judge calling this out. And this is one of the few times that she feels the need to calm herself, brushing her hair, moving around a little bit.
And oftentimes, we never know why a defendant chose a particular course of action. You're not my mom. I want.
Seeing the furrowed brow again when he said, "You're not my mom." She feels angry hearing that, I think.
My mom. I want.
Let's watch that again.
It is not hard to imagine Gannon saying something, "You're not my mom. I want my mom. I want my dad." 95 doesn't go through Colorado. It's an interstate that runs along the entire eastern seaboard. It's also not far from where you dumped Gannon's body.
There's that furrowed brow again. Now, this more than anger looks like concern or confusion, and I think this is intentional. Once again, this comes back to her performance again. Whenever they talk about where Gannon's body was thrown, I still think she's trying to plant a seed to appeal this case or to try to prove that she's not mentally fit or something like that. I really do think that this is all just continued performance here and there.
Doing his thing, and that's not the future that you wanted.
Now, I don't know if she has something stuffed in her ears. If she does, I think that what she's trying to do is to show the judge that she's not listening.
I can imagine Gannon, at some point after he sustained his burns, telling you wanted his real mom and how that comment would have made you angry. And they are being subjected to things and experiences they don't understand and don't have any recollection of.
All right, now we saw the eyebrows again. Now this time I think it's angry. That looked more like an involuntary response. And I think that she's angry that she got it wrong, that she didn't act it out well enough. Listen to the context and watch this again.
Because their free will has been taken from them and they are being subjected to things and experiences they don't understand and don't have any recollection of.
And right when he said don't have any recollection of, she made the angry eyebrows. She's very frustrated, I imagine, that she picked the wrong kind of thing to fake and it just didn't work out. So I imagine that was an actual angry response.
You didn't behave anything like that. The Colorado Department of Corrections for the remainder of your life with no possibility of parole. Those two sentences will merge. If you have questions about that, you can ask your attorneys.
And as you notice, her eyes stay closed through all of this. I think it's because she's so angry that somebody else has this much control. She cannot stand to look at the judge right now. I think we're all going to be a bit relieved that we're now closing this chapter on Letecia Stauch. She's going to be spending the rest of her life in prison, and thank God there was justice for Gannon. And before we wrap things up, I do want to let you know in the description below I have a wait list for a course I'm working on to teach you to read body language just like I do. Last thing, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, thanks for watching.